Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I'm in my art studio basically because the rest of the house is trashed because I've spent 3 days searching for a lost PE kit and trainers for my little boy, and the house is trashed because we've been searching everywhere. It's one of those things. So I thought I'd film in my art studio, and today I wanted to do a tag to somebody who's quite a new channel, so it's also a shout out as well for the lovely the May Queen, who has a brilliant new channel. She also has a fabulous new tag out, which is the decks that I wish existed. So what decks would I love somebody to make? So I've collected some things around me, and I want to show you some ideas from some decks that I wish that somebody would make. First of all, the wonderful Queen, my Queen, Frida Kahlo. Now, I do have the Kickstarter deck, the name of which has completely run out of my brain. I'll put a photograph in of the latest update we've had and the name of the deck. So there is a Frida Kahlo new tarot coming out based on some of her artwork. But Frida, for me, she is completely amazing. This is a book from an exhibition that came to London, all about her life. It had artifacts in, it had family photos, it had images of like her back brace and her artificial legs. It had medicine bottles, it had jewellery, it had costume. It was just the most amazing exhibition. And I would love, as well as this new tarot deck that's coming out, somebody to piece together a tarot deck actually using images, real images of her actual artwork. So some of her paintings, you know, these paintings actually being the cards. Also possibly an oracle deck with some of the images from the exhibitions, so the pill bottles, the photographs. So I would love a combined tarot deck using her real art with a matching oracle with photographs of the objects of her life. I would love that. Now, what I do have in this lovely Mexican skull bag, some decks that do scratch the Frida-ish. I've got 2 of these. These are Akal Pritams by Rockpool Publishing. These are the mini decks, which do have portraits that she's drawn of Frida, quotes on the back. And I do have 2 of these decks so that when I pull a card, I can get the matching card from the other deck, and I can display it with the message and the image showing. So I've got this one, but that's not Frida's own artwork. That's somebody else drawing Frida. I do also have this Fournier Frida Kahlo tarot as well. These are the backs. So not very nice backs. I don't like backs really that have the writing on, but there's lots of images of Frida in this deck, but it's very much a pick deck. The court cards have photographs of Frida on, so you can see the majors are a bit more pictorial, so that kind of scratches the itch a little bit. And with this new deck coming, I just cannot wait for the new deck to arrive. So she's about to start packing up the decks to ship. See, there are some references to her artworks in this deck as well. But I would just love a double combo with actual reproductions of her artwork made into a tarot, and then an oracle with some of those artifacts photographed from that amazing exhibition I went to, and some of her costumes as well. So a double deck Frida Kahlo deck would be amazing as well, and I would buy them all. So to fill my Frida obsession, that's the first deck I wish could be made. And then I go to one of my all-time favourite series of novels that just, I just love it. It's a series of novels by Marissa Meyer called the Lunar Chronicles, based on fairy tales. So Scarlet is Red Riding Hood, Cinder is Cinderella, Cress is Rapunzel, you've got Winter, which is Snow White. The Fairest is based on the Lunar Queen, the story behind the Lunar Queen, and the whole series of books, if you can imagine fairy tale mixed with love story, mixed with thriller, mixed with evil moon queen, mixed with kind of sort of space, and mixed with robot. You can see it's some of these books are massive, but they are brilliant. It sounds odd, I know, artificial intelligence is mixed in there. It sounds sort of sci-fi fairy tale, which I suppose it is, but they are just the most incredible series of books. They're my all-time favourite series of books. To get sort of a fairy tale cross starseed cross dramatic love story passion deck based on this series would be amazing, and I would be the first in line. The only thing in my collection that kind of scratches the itch of a book series that I loved with the tarot deck linked is this one, The Raven's Prophecy, which of course is linked to the series of books called The Raven Boys, and that series of books I love. There's more coming out. They're following one of the characters of the book, and they are doing more books, which next year that's going to be on my wish list. But this was made extra special because it links to the Raven Boys books. I love this deck. It's out to be worked with at the minute for Halloween because of the orange colours and some of the slightly darker imagery. I can't believe this deck is as cheap as it is, because it is a cheap deck to buy, and it's just wonderful, as are the Raven Boys books. If you like fantasy, thriller, and tarot and magic mixed into your novels, then absolutely read the Raven Boys if you haven't read them yet. So that kind of does scratch the itch of a tarot linked to a book series, but it isn't the Lunar Chronicles, and I would love the Lunar Chronicles to be turned into at least one deck, possibly more. The next deck that I would love, I've got quite a list here. Now, this is a book by about Barbara Hepworth and her work. And of course, Barbara Hepworth is a UK-based artist. She's no longer with us, unfortunately, anymore, who lived down in St Ives in Cornwall. This is her garden studio. And a few years ago, I had the absolute joy to go and visit her house, to walk around this garden where these sculptures are. And I fell in love with the place. As anybody who has ever visited Cornwall is often prone to do, Cornwall is so beautiful. There's the house on the corner of St Ives, which is so busy in summer because it's just stunning down there. Now, a Barbara Hepworth tarot would be fantastic, or an oracle with these giant sculptures photographed. But I would also really adore a tarot deck to do with Cornwall. It is so beautiful. You've got the tin mines, which of course is where they filmed, I can't remember the name of it, let me think. I'm not a TV watcher, but I did watch some of this series because the guy's gorgeous. Poldark. They filmed Poldark down at one end of Cornwall with the tin mines, where I walked that coast, saw the tin mines. It's incredible. There is a tin mine actually on the cliff face, which is just incredible. You've got St Ives, where there's a Tate gallery overlooking the beach. Hello. St Ives is bustling and it's wonderful. You've got places like Bude with the open sea swimming pool, which I walked with my old dog Maisie, who I miss desperately, in the dead of winter with the waves crashing. The coastline is amazing. Of course, you've got links to King Arthur because you've got Tintagel Castle with the bridge going across. Now, I visited before the new bridge and after the new bridge. Tintagel is the most magical place. The whole place is spectacular. So yes, a Barbara Hepworth tarot would be wonderful, but more than that, a tarot about Cornwall, oh, that would be amazing. The only decks that I've got that kind of follow that idea are my Cheryl Yambrak Rose decks, because I think her decks kind of embody a place. Whenever I open these decks, there's a real strong sense of place. Of course, the guidebook talks about place and links cards to Genius Loki as well, but there's a massively strong link to Glastonbury. Of course, Cheryl Yambrak Rose has one of her homes in Glastonbury. She's a local artist. There are also links to King Arthur, of course, because King Arthur is said to have been buried at Glastonbury, although the alternative story is that King Arthur's final resting place is Tintagel, which is why you've got the sculpture of King Arthur at the very top of Tintagel, which I've stood next to in gale force winds and in the heat of summer, and I've lay on the grass meditating near that statue. So these Cheryl Yambrak Rose decks do kind of embody that idea of history and myth within landscape, and they've got a similar vibe. This is the Art Through the Starstream Oracle, which is an older edition deck, which is hard to find unless you're in Glastonbury, and then the shops do have it. But this, of course, Through the Eyes of the Soul, is a Blue Angel new release. Again, you can find this in a old version, which would pair then with this deck, which I'm still looking for. But this also, again, kind of embodies story and myth with a sense of place. So I would envisage like a Cornwall deck, in some ways kind of mirroring or sort of matching this sort of vibe, and I would be all there for it. Okay, let's go back to another artist I love, the amazing Francis Bacon. Now, I was introduced to Francis Bacon when I did my O-level and A-level art. Wow, I'm dating myself with O-levels. We don't even have O-levels anymore. But when O-levels were around, my art teacher, who is an artist himself, the amazing Peter Horrocks, he absolutely adored Francis Bacon, and he introduced me at about 14 to the artwork of Francis Bacon. Of course, Francis Bacon was a colourful character who worked and lived in a garage and did all these really dramatic oil paintings with heads and faces sort of contorted. He did series of different portraits. He was a troubled soul. He was plagued with addictions, and he was a sort of typical troubled artist. His work is really emotive, really powerful, and I think a Francis Bacon oracle or tarot would be the most incredible deck for exploring shadow work and issues around addiction as well. Deck that I think I've got closest to anything that I could envisage a Francis Bacon deck being is the Dark Angels Tarot, which is new to my collection, and I bought it for deep, powerful shadow work and to go to the places that I didn't want to delve. It is so really not my thing, this type of deck. I don't do dark decks. I haven't really done angels before, though that's changing. And this really is quite a dark deck for me. But it was bought for the same reasons that I could envisage using a Francis Bacon tarot deck for. So that's the Dark Angels Tarot, about as close to a Francis Bacon deck as I could get. So somebody please make a Francis Bacon deck. And something a bit lighter, my love of collecting. I've got a Pinterest board with pictures of things lined up in rows, people's collections. I am fascinated with the visual effect of putting lots of things that are similar in rows, so collections. I have a collecting gene. I collect loads and loads of things. One of the things I collect are swans. I've got swan furniture, swan pictures, swan ornaments, swan vases. Also, didn't realise at the time, but Bridget was brought into my life. She's a goddess that's also linked to the swan as well. Oh, I've got so much stuff like this. Look, you can see I've got a collecting gene because I've got a swan here full of trolls, which I also collect. That's so bad. It gets a collection holding another part of a collection. So a swan tarot deck or a swan oracle deck would be wonderful, or a swan deck that collates all the mythology around swans. I'd love that. The closest thing I've got is this, the Moon Journal. It's a tiny little indie deck, which I treated myself to last year on my birthday. And it's a little moon deck with swans on every picture. So this is the waning crescent. I collect my thoughts, I nourish and care for myself, I'm still. Got the waning half moon. I embrace the flow and receive my blessings with gratitude. So you can see for every aspect of the moon is featured here. This is waxing gibbous. There's a swan and then a message that links with that moon phase. So it is just a tiny little deck. There's the full moon, but it is lovely. It came with a piece of artwork and a bookmark as well as the little bag, and I love it. So I do have a swan deck. However, I'd love a big oracle and I'd love a tarot as well, all to do with swans. And I suppose that idea of collections lined up in rows also links to pip decks. Now, I pulled this one out because I've never shared this one before on my channel. This is the Mystic Tarot pack. If anybody remembers Mystic Meg on 80s Breakfast Britain, then this was the tarot deck linked with her. But I got it because I absolutely love this artwork. This is the same artist that did the artwork for the Moon Oracle and the Radiant Sun deck as well. Now, this deck is lovely. It has illustrated majors, illustrated quartz. So here are some of the majors. It has the worst box in living history. Just because I've opened it now, I've got cards literally everywhere. It's going to take half an hour to put it away. So I am going to have to get a bag for this one. But I pulled it out to do with collections because it's a pip deck. And I suppose this idea of lining things up would work if you're doing a collection deck, but it needn't be as boring as this. You could have images of different collections, say for each suit, or you could have completely different collections for each card, but it could be lined up like a pip deck. I think it would be cool. Perhaps I need to get my camera out. Perhaps it's me that needs to make these decks. This is the box. I'm just going to close it up and pretend that none of that is happening in there. Let's stick with collections. Another thing I collect. snow globes. I've loved snow globes since I was a little kid. I can remember at 4 or 5 that excitement of shaking it and seeing the glitter and the snow conceal what was inside, and then watching as it all settled and the picture or the objects re-emerged. I am still the same inside as that little obsessed 4 and 5-year-old. I absolutely love snow globes. I got this when I visited Jordan a couple of years ago. I've got one of Petra, and I bought this as well out there when I walked through the deserts of Jordan. It was the most amazing trip, and of course you come back from Jordan and the desert and Petra with a bag full of snow globes. Of course you do. This was when I went on a fateful trip to Paris. It was a trip, shall we say, that opened my eyes to where my relationship was, as I was getting dressed to go out by myself in Paris to see the Eiffel Tower. It was fundamental in some of the veil dropping from my eyes. But listen, this is a musical one. A musical tarot. How amazing would that be? Now, I would love a snow globe tarot. I'd love it in a box. I'd love it in a box shaped like a snow globe that you could shake. So it had a snow globe built into the box. Yes, please. I would like the box to be musical. Yes, please, so you can wind the box up. I would like the cards to be in the shape of a snow globe too. Possibly different snow globes like this. Like this is a lantern. Oh my gosh, this could be the Hermit card. But no, I think this really needs to be the Three of Swords, because there's a story behind this. I dated for just over a year a guy after my divorce had finished. I went for somebody who I thought I could trust after being so betrayed by a number of people. So I went for a good Christian man. He also was the manager in a charity shop at the time, and he knew I collected snow globes, and this came in and he brought it home for me. Little did I know that good Christian boys can also be as sneaky and devious and mask wearing as the more obvious narcissist in your life. And I very nearly got rid of this snow globe, which lights up. Can you believe it? In fact, I think the light keeps the snow glowing. But it's this image of this guy pushing this woman along with a teddy bear on her lap. And the woman with a teddy bear on her lap, I don't think it's supposed to be a child, but the figure looks like a woman. And I just felt, after the relationship ended and I realised there'd been stuff going on, that this guy, who kind of looks like the guy too, was taking her for a bit of a ride. He was pushing and pulling her strings, kind of making sure that she went where he wanted to go. And all of a sudden, this snow globe, I didn't want it anymore, and I got it out the cupboard to throw it away. And I did a little ritual about never being pushed by a guy again, never being pushed into things or having my path controlled by anybody ever again. After the ritual, I went to throw this deck away, and I picked it up and realised, can you see? Don't know if you can see, but the arm had broken off. So he's not actually touching her anymore. He had an arm that was pushing her along. The arm's gone. Now, I looked in here thinking, well, have I knocked it? Has it fallen off in there? Because it was definitely on there. But no, the arm has just completely, can you see there? Look, there's no contact. So after doing this ritual to never be pushed around by a man ever again, I did this little ritual and his arm left. There is no contact now between him and the woman. So now I love this. There is pure magic inside this. So yes, a snow globe tarot, please. and a little bit of a history of my love life. Oh, my dogs are messing about. But yeah, magical snow globes, but with a box built like a snow globe that's musical, and the cards shaped like snow globes as well. Even cards that you can shake. Even a snow globe oracle where they're actually snow globes, or a tarot inside a giant snow globe that you press a button and whatever keyword ends up at the top is your message. So many possibilities. Do I have anything that scratches that itch? Not really, but I do have the Tarot Leaves, which is it's a tarot deck which was a gift from the lovely Nancy at Paper Moon Tarot, so thank you, Nancy. This deck has images that are contained within the outline of a leaf, so I suppose that's similar in a way, because you would be containing the image of the tarot within the shape of a snow globe. So I suppose this kind of is the same sort of feel, but it's not snow globes, it is leaves, and I love leaves, so we do forgive this for not being a snow globe. But yeah, snow globe tarot would be fabulous. Then another favourite artist who I've loved from a young girl is Gauguin. Now, Gauguin was just an incredible artist. Gauguin, who of course was a huge rival of Van Gogh. He's most famous for his work on the island of Tahiti, and I just think some of these images would make the most glorious tarot decks. His work has got the most amazing use of colour. His story as well is really, really interesting. And he moved around quite a bit, and you know, there were dramas and rivalry as well in his life, and I just think his use of colour is so soulful that it would just make the most beautiful tarot deck. Ocean inspired, colour inspired, landscape inspired, with stories of rivalry and family and feuds. I just think his art would just be amazing. Now, I thought about what I'd got in my collection that was similar to that, and I went for this beautiful deck which was sent to me by the lovely Sandra over at the Whispering Well, and this is, I think it's the Sacred Flower Oracle. It came in that beautiful flower fairy bag but without the box. But here you've got sort of those vibrant colours and wonderful foliage and plants, which of course you'd get if you had a deck about Tahiti. It kind of gives me that vibe of amazing landscapes and colourful, lush greenery. But I think Gauguin would just make the most amazing deck. Finally, I grabbed this off my art bookcase because I've got lots of books to do with journaling and making journals. This one I love because it's about making secret hiding places and pull-outs, and I love that idea of sort of secret windows, like old-fashioned advent calendars, and opening up and seeing what's underneath, or pulling out a label and finding like a hidden bit of artwork somewhere. And I'd love a deck that was almost like an advent calendar where you got to open pockets on the different cards. That would be, oh my gosh, that would be so exciting. I think I'd be almost too excited to use it. And I think the decks I've been drawn to recently are kind of tapping into that love of finding like secret little messages, and that's collage decks, which I gave a hard pass on when I initially got into tarot, and I've done a complete 180 on it. I absolutely love collage decks now. So things like this one, this is a new acquisition. This is the Uncommon Tarot, which I haven't worked with yet. But this is like, this has got so much going on in the cards that it almost feels like you need to search the card for secrets. The Voyager Tarot as well affects me the same way, where there's lots and lots of different collaged elements in there for you to scour for secret meanings and things that you might not first have noticed. So I'm beginning to realise where my love for collage decks stems from, and it is that kind of hunting down secrets. But I'd like a collage deck that goes even a step further and becomes like a sort of secret pocket, secret window, secret door, fold out piece, you know, a secret letter built into the back of the card. So a crazy sort of advent calendar tarot deck. I would love that. So that's it, guys. Those are the decks that I wish existed. I think I've got that tag right. It will be in the title of the video anyway. Thank you to the May Queen. She's just a delight. Go and say hello if you haven't found her yet. She's a brand new channel. She's wonderful. She's lovely. She's got a lovely energy, a lovely vibe about her. I'm really chuffed that I found her right at the start. You can too. I'll leave all the links to her video down below. I've also seen a response to this tag by the lovely Bronya K. Another fantastic channel. I love Bronya. I love watching her videos. So I'll leave a link to her video as well. So you've got 2 cracking videos linked down below. Thanks, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed me indulging my wishlist fantasy tarot deck, things I wish existed. I hope you like seeing some of the crazy things I collect, some of the decks as well that might scratch that itch but just don't. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.